Trader worth the risk here, and welcome to the Crypto Collective's 2020 presidential election market update. So first of all, I just wanted to quickly go over what's happening in the election right now. I've been briefly paying attention to it today, and Biden has been ahead just marginally by most of the day, but Trump has been gaining ground, and we did see the market react with some major moves when Trump started gaining ground. So first of all, 77% of the votes is counted. Biden's ahead with 205 to 171 here, and the winner needs 270 votes. And on another website, we've got 223 Joe Biden with 173 Donald Trump. So as of now, Joe Biden is ahead, but there's still some areas that are undecided. So we should be getting some more clarity pretty soon who the winner is going to be. Now let's look at how the market has actually reacted to this. First of all, we saw this on Trump-related and Trump and Biden-related bets and tokens. We saw a massive swing. The Trump win token actually increased nearly 100%, with the Biden one decreasing nearly 70% in 1 hour. And at the same time, we saw gold react with a huge swing down. We actually broke out of this resistance here yesterday, and we were pushing, and I was expecting us to push up to here to the all-time high from like 10 years ago or whatever. But we got rejected here, and right now we've fallen back into this rising wedge pattern. So at the moment, it looks like when Trump actually gains, when Trump gains votes and more positive news comes out about Trump, it actually looks like gold is heading down. If you want to look at another market for comparison, you look at the US 500. At the same time, when Trump was gaining ground, it was actually increasing in value, right? And gold was decreasing in value. So just by looking at this, it gives us a general idea that, if Trump wins, it's going to be positive for the US stock market. And if Trump loses, it's going to be negative for the US stock market. And if Trump loses, it's going to be positive for gold. And if Trump wins, it's going to be negative for gold. So that's what I'm seeing right now, just from the chart. So it's going to be interesting to see what else happens. Just to go back over gold, like this area here that I'm circling, it seems like a key area. We had a bit of a sell-off from here. So unless we can get above this soon and bounce off here, continue up to the previous all-time high, it's actually looking like gold is going to come down to the 1875 to 1850 region. Now looking at silver, we also had this pattern. It's a bump and run reversal, and basically you go for a long once this trend line is broken here. I've got an image here to show you guys. So this is the bump and run reversal. That played out, had a decent swing right to this resistance here. But as soon as the volatility came in, with Trump gaining ground, it actually just fell back into the pattern and rejected. So right now, silver doesn't look too great either, just like gold. And the only thing I can see really happening here is we have this key area here, right? And we seem to be finding support. As if this holds, silver may continue up, but as of now, it looks like while we're under this key breakout level, silver is bearish. So I'll go back over gold. The price action is similar in a way where, there's a key setup. While we're under this, we're bearish on gold. As soon as we claim this, the trend is probably going to continue up. So it's all going to depend on the results of the election here. Now let's have another look at the rest of the market. So the US 500 index, we actually had this, we have this massive head and shoulders pattern. Now, for some, it might not be the most ideal looking pattern, but to me, it's valid. You know, it's got the peak and the two shoulders at the same height. Now, we actually broke out downwards out of this head and shoulders, and the breakout seems to have failed for now. We came back inside and we bounced, but for me, until we actually clear this region here, there's still a possibility that we just come down here and play this out. So the key areas I'm watching on the SP500 is if we can claim this area here, this circle here, if we can, the price can push through here and find support, it's probably going to reject the head and shoulders pattern and continue pushing up. I think if Trump wins, that's going to be the most likely outcome here, as we can already see when positive news comes with Trump, the stock market has started to rally a bit, but it's not a guarantee. It's just something to keep an eye on. So if I just give me 1 second, guys, I've got an image to show you here. So this is the head and shoulders pattern. So you can see we've got a large middle peak and then the left and right shoulders, which are relatively the same height. And we have point B, which is considered the bearish retest and the entry. So right now we've got to watch to see if US 500 actually comes back under this level. We may get another rejection off it, which would be a good short entry. But until that happens, and considering if Trump does win, we can expect that there's the possibility of this pattern to be rejected. Now, looking at the Australia 200, what I can see here is a clear bull flag pattern. It's also a trading range, a horizontal consolidation. So you can see we had, before coronavirus, we were moving upwards in this kind of range and we dumped off and we came back up to here, the post-corona recovery, and now we're consolidating again for another move. So for me, I like to keep it as simple as possible, and what I can see here is a possible inverse head and shoulders, right? So the key support for this head and shoulders is going to be around here, 5,864. In the short term, if we can hold that level, and we can also push above 6,250 or so and confirm support, we can see this inverse head and shoulders pattern and this loose bull flag pattern play out with a maximum target. I'm going to have to say, it sounds ridiculous, but in these market conditions, we've seen heaps of crazy stuff happen, like oil, the price of oil went to zero. So this would be the maximum target for this kind of setup. And what else I'm watching for here is, let's zoom in for a second. So you can see this key swing low here. Now we came back up to that over here and we rejected off it. So if we can continue to push and we can actually claim this level, it might actually be a good entry for the AU 200 to push to the next resistance area. If we do that, then we're going to watch this yellow line up here. If we do claim that, we can see the possibility of this bull flag pattern playing out. Now, let's go over Bitcoin and Ethereum. First, I'm going to go to the higher time frames. So this chart is just for me to check my resistance levels on the higher time frames. This is the Brave New Coin Liquid Index. It's got the full history of Bitcoin. So it's actually a good chart to keep on your watch list to check your levels and stuff. So we have over here is the 1 month close from the $20,000 run. And we also have this week here. So right now, you can see we're kind of pushing through this area. So this is positive for Bitcoin. But, you know, anything can happen still. So I'm on the daily chart now, and one thing I can notice straight away is that we have a strong bullish engulfing candle here, and it's pushing through all these key areas. And when a bullish engulfing just takes out all these areas, it's a high probability to continue upwards. But that, that, like I said, that's not a guarantee that's going to happen. For me, what I'm watching for here is, as long as we can hold above this area here and we don't close back under here, it looks to me like we're going to push to around 15,000 or potentially 4,300 here. So that like, it's not the most ideal area to be longing, because we haven't really confirmed support off this level. But depending on the market conditions, we may continue to push. Let's go to the 4-hour now on Bitcoin. What I can see here is a clear head and shoulders pattern potentially forming. So if you look, it doesn't look ideal, but the pattern is there. I can tell you, we've got the main peak, and then we've got the potential shoulders that look around the same height. Now, this is no guarantee that we're going to dump off crazy here, but it's something to watch for. If we do lose this area here, and we confirm resistance, then we could potentially see a larger retracement, or we could see the price come down back to this yellow line like this, and it breaks out downwards, it traps the short traders, it comes back up, bounces off, and then we continue pushing to 15,000. Or, maybe that doesn't happen, as it's still early. We can't see, we can't see into the future. We can only kind of guess what's going to happen. We have this micro support area. We can see the price has respected it quite a few times. So for me, if we come down on Bitcoin right now, we lose this area, we confirm resistance here. It's probably going to be a decent short entry to at least down this area. And then we can see again how the price action progresses if we have this head and shoulders pattern play out. This is the pattern I'm talking about here, the head and shoulders. So we could potentially be at point A now, which is a possible entry. But, we are in a bull trend, so it's a bit of a risky one. If it does break out downwards, then we have the second entry, which is point B, after a confirmation of a support and resistance flip. So that's just a short-term update on Bitcoin. If we can take out this high over here, 14,100 roughly, then I'll consider the potential head and shoulders, I said potential, not guaranteed, is invalidated. Now, looking at Ethereum, it's actually kind of similar. Like sometimes Ethereum actually leads the prices ahead of Bitcoin. Not always, but what I can see here now, it's not the most ideal head and shoulders, but the structure is there. You have a peak and two highs that are very similar in height, and you can see we had a breakout downwards, and then we threw back here. But also, one thing I can notice here on Ethereum is that we are actually under a small resistance area. So right now, while we're under here, the potential is to actually come down still under this head and shoulders neckline. If we reject again here, then it's probably going to take us to this 2018 demand area. And let me zoom out for a sec. So if you want to see the importance of this area, back in 2018, 2017, if you look at this, we had some massive increases from this area. So it's a historical area. So there's definitely going to be a lot of traders looking at these areas. You can also see it was our last support before we really had this capitulation run down here. So yeah, there's the trend line there. If we lose that, that's a possible outcome for a bearish play. But if we are to claim this area, like so, it can act as a potential springboard to take us to the top of this range here. Now, if we knock out this diagonal resistance here as well and confirm off it, we may continue upwards with this kind of, it's almost looks like a parallel channel, almost like forming here as well. So keep an eye on that. If we break, I'd say 388, 390 and confirm, it may take us to the top up here. but we'll have to see how the price action fans out. One other thing I'm also watching for on Ethereum, so you can see this yellow diagonal trend line here. So if we do lose the support here and continue down, and we also lose this 2018 demand area, it's going to be a very bad sign for Ethereum. This is the bump and run top pattern. It basically, after a crazy bull market, we have a little bump, which is this little part here, and then we have the run, and the run curves back around and it breaks this trend line support, and that's a potential sign of a market reversal. It's actually one of the strongest patterns. So, you know, I've got, when I see this pattern, I've always got my alerts and I'm keeping an eye on what's going on. It's not actually a valid pattern until we have a breakout. So, you know, it can be doing this, but it means nothing until we actually break out and we have the confirmation of the trend line. Because a lot of the time it'll come down, break out, and then it'll continue up, and then from up here it'll go down. So you don't want to get short straight away unless you can see some other really good signs, or you're willing to manage the trade and manage your stop losses properly. So keep an eye out on Ethereum if we do end up losing maybe the $353 region and this trend line, because it's a potential bump and run top. But until then, the crucial support is 369 to 355 that I'm watching. As long as we hold this in the short term, we should continue increasing in value. And let's just to cover the altcoins as well. Let's look at the Bitcoin dominance. Now, this is the daily chart. You can see it. We've got a descending broadening wedge. It's just a pattern where the price moves between these broadening trend lines. Now, you can see over here, we had a kind of key demand zone. So a demand zone is where price increases from value. Over here, it flipped into a supply zone. And right now, we've actually gotten above this area again. So for the Bitcoin dominance, while it's above 63.81, it's actually very bad for altcoins. We've seen them drop maybe 10-15% in the last couple of days until we lose this blue area I've marked, or we start to move sideways like this. You can actually expect them to potentially continue heading down. So keep an eye on the Bitcoin dominance. As a rule of thumb, when the Bitcoin dominance is increasing in value, altcoins are going to take a hit. When it's consolidating or when it's dumping off, it's going to add probability for altcoins to increase in value. And we can also look at the DXY here. Let's go to the 1 month. So the DXY is a basket of currencies, and it's a basket of currencies that are crossed with the US dollar. So like Euro USD, British Pound USD. And when the DXY goes up, the currencies and other assets crossed with the US dollar tend to go down. So the DXY, it looks like it's potentially putting in a symmetrical triangle, which is when we get a triangle like this and price moves between it. So if we're on the 4th touch of this pattern right now and it's finding support, which also happens to be a previous supply zone and a demand zone, if this holds and the DXY continues up, we could potentially see a massive sell-off in gold, in silver, in Bitcoin, in Ethereum, and other assets related to the US dollar. So keep an eye on this. The best scenario here is if we lose this diagonal support and we actually go under 91. So until that happens, you can assume that we could potentially take a dump here. Just looking at gold again, like it looks like we have a potential top here. It does look a little similar to a bullish pennant pattern as well. So I'm just, once again, you know, until we claim 1902 to 1901 at least, gold looks like it's going to continue dumping. Silver is $24 roughly. And yeah, Euro USD, let's have a look. That'll be the last one. The reason I keep an eye on Euro USD, by the way, guys, is because, like I mentioned, the DXY, when it goes up, it can potentially give us a clue that Bitcoin's going to head down. And when it sells off, it can give some relief and it can head up. While the Euro USD is the major currency in the DXY. So that's why it's important to pay attention to. So you can see I've got this pink line going across my screen. Now that's a 12-year long resistance line. So I'm keeping an eye on this because if we lose this area and the price heads under it and we reject off it, it's going to be potentially a pretty bad sign for Bitcoin. That'll mean that the DXY could potentially increase in value. So the best case scenario for Bitcoin, if you're watching the Euro USD, is that we actually hold this support at 1.16 to 1.15 and we continue up from here. If that doesn't happen, if we lose 1.15 and we collapse into this pink region, then it's not going to be very good. We're probably going to see a bit of a retracement on Bitcoin. So that's it for me, guys. I just wanted to do a really quick video, give you guys my perspective on the markets. If you enjoy the video so far, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments who you think is going to win today's election. If you have any technical analysis requests or you want me to chart up some other tokens or assets you're watching, just let me know and I'm happy to do so. Thanks a lot.